Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. After a hiatus of a few months, we have Savio Rodriguez of the Goa Chronicles back to chat with us. Savio, long time no see, and welcome to P Guru's channel.
Namaste, Sri Iyer, and thank you for having me on your show. It's been a long time, but it's always a
Yes,
pleasure to speak with you.
yes, and you've been climbing new heights. Very impressed with your growth, and congratulations. May you rise further and further. And it's nice to see someone as talented as you, another engineer turned media personality, uh, day in and day out duking it out in the Republic TV channels. That's not easy, I know that. Did you want to say something?
No, go ahead. I just wanted to say God's been kind, Sri Iyer.
And today we're going to talk about Goa, how its politics has changed post a towering intellectual like Manohar Parrikar, and where is it headed, and an open letter that Savio has written to the Prime Minister. So Savio, take it away.
You see, Sri Iyer, one of the most important aspects of Goan politics was that for many years, since 2007, before that, there was always a lot of turmoil as far as politics was concerned in Goa. There was never a stable government. The governments would form, and the governments will then, been broken up, and another government would have been formed. So from 2000 way up to 2007, there was always been government changing in Goa. 2007, you had Digambar Kamath that came in with the government of the Congress right up to 2012. Unfortunately for Goa, that was considered to be one of the most corrupt governments. And that is the reason why there was a very strong move by Mr. Manohar Parrikar to fight against corruption and to fight against the corrupt Congress ministers and leaders that were there in the government at that point of time. By virtue of that, a lot of consciousness of the people of Goa was awakened, and a lot of them started to realize that it is very important to take on corruption. There was also the India Against Corruption movement around the same time that got initiated. Uh, so a lot of people said, okay, let's come up forward and let's do fight against corruption. And Manohar Parrikar took the lead as far as the state was concerned. In 2012, Manohar Parrikar was brought into power with a full majority. The people across religious spectrum, across caste spectrum, or across intellectual spectrum, reposed their faith in Manohar Parrikar to lead Goa to what would be considered the future of Goa, or vision for Goa. And he did extremely well to bring himself to the position of the Chief Minister of Goa. And it was a very, very strategic, very hard-fought battle to upstage the Congress that were extremely powerful as Goa was concerned. But Congress got into a complacency, they got into family raj, and they got into a whole lot of corruption that was clearly evident, and people of Goa wanted to throw them out, and that's how Manohar Parrikar came in with the BJP in full majority for the first time. And then, of course, Manohar Parrikar was invited to be at the center, to be the defense minister. And as a Goan, all of us were very proud of that step forward for a political leader of integrity from Goa. However, what happened was that he did leave second in command, rather, a third in command. I wouldn't call him a second in command. That was then put forward to become the chief minister, a gentleman by the name of Lakshmikant Parsekar, who's a wonderful person, a wonderful human being. However, I wouldn't have given him 10 out of 10 as far as administration or administration of governance is concerned. I would give him a 4 or a 5 out of 10. And that created a lot of uneasiness as far as the voter class in Goa is concerned. That's why in 2017, when the elections were held and Manohar Parrikar was still the defense minister, BJP, after a majority, came down to 13 seats. And, instead of being where they were with their alliance with MGP at that point of time. So it was a clear indication that the people of Goa was at that point of time very disappointed with the BJP government in the governance from 2014 onwards, rather 2012 to 14. They were very happy with Manohar Parrikar, and then of course you had Lakshmikant Parsekar, and they were not very happy with the way the government was running. Then, of course, the BJP, through political machinations, endeavored and succeeded in bringing together an alliance from using Goa Forward Party and the Maharashtrawadhi Gomantak Party, which is the MGP, to form the government. And of course, people were very disappointed with it in the large spectrum, because while a section of them were happy, a section of them were very unhappy with what happened, but they accepted it and they moved on. It was when in 2019, after the passing away of Mr. Parrikar, when the BJP engineered what I term as an unnecessary strategic endeavor, was to induct 10 Congress MLAs into the BJP. And out of these 10 Congress MLAs, one is an MLA, from a powerful MLA, no doubt, and quite capable of winning any election on any party, actually. He doesn't need to stand at a particular party. He's quite capable of winning an election on any party ticket. The point is this: he was kept out of Panjim constituency, which was a Manohar Parrikar constituency nurtured for a long, long time. He was allowed to win it on the Congress seat. For some reasons that BJP themselves need to answer at a local level, how did they allow Manohar Parrikar's legacy to just be taken over by Babush Montserrat? But when they inducted him, at that stage, Sri, which is what disappointed me then, and I raised the issue then as well, and I continue to raise the issue, was that he was accused of raping a minor, and the police, the Goa police that is under the BJP government, was the police that charge sheeted him for the case. So he's charge sheeted. He's accused. Of course, you could argue and say, he's not been convicted. But in much the same way, MJ Akbar was never convicted either. In much the same way, Shengar from the Unnao case was never convicted when they were asked to resign. So my question is, what is the hypocrisy or the dual standards that you follow on such matters? Because eventually, I understand he's a powerful politician, and I've never denied that. Other than the case, I have no problem with him, is what I stated in the letter as well. But what is the messaging that you give out? What is the message you give out to the very, very concept of Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao that you talk about and you want to take forward? And Mr. Modi, as a gentleman and as a prime minister, is a very forward-thinking individual, a very positive individual. When you bring such negative elements into a political party, what is the messaging that's going out? Now look at the situation that they are in right now. They have 27 MLAs with the BJP. Out of the 27 MLAs, 17 MLAs are former Congress MLAs. Right? More people are getting inducted and they don't belong to the BJP. What are you doing? Honestly, I mean, I'm a little shocked at the strategy, because you would want to grow your grassroots workers to move up to the next level of taking forward your party.
What's in it for them?
Yeah. Unfortunately, what the BJP is doing is it's cutting the very stems of the next gen leaders that should grow from BJP itself. Now, you might say that they are sons of other politicians, but at some point of time, like say Mr. Parrikar's son, he wants to get into politics. Why not give him a chance and give him an opportunity to perform? Number one, you have Shripad Nayak's son, Siddesh Nayak. You have many other young political leaders that can come forward. The parents have come to a stage where they can move back and not be in politics, and the kids can move forward if they are worthy enough to do that. But besides the political kids, I'm saying in general, what happens to the second rung leaders in the BJP when you induct Congress leaders? Now you look at the situation in some blocks. Like, say, for example, they've inducted Jayesh Salgaonkar from the Goa Forward Party last week into the BJP. The entire BJP Saligaon block, decided to revolt. In reaction, the BJP dissolved that block. So the bloc has decided that we are going to go ahead and put our own candidate over there. So what are you doing? You're bringing a leader from the Congress. You're bringing a leader from another political party. You're forcing the workers that have been loyal to you for such a long time to pander to the whims of that Congress leader that has come into the party. He's not coming because of an ideology. He's not coming for the BJP. He's coming solely because he realized he can win, and he's obviously going to gain something out of it. He's not doing it for the love of anything other than himself. And I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair to any of the BJP young leaders, the probable second rung leaders, youth or non-youth, women, who actually need to be second to Congress inducted MLAs. Even a couple of days ago, after Jayesh Salgaonkar's induction into the BJP, the Goa CM came out and made a statement saying 8 to 9 big political leaders are going to join BJP. I mean, is this the intrinsic quality of the BJP? This was not the BJP that I know of. This was not Manohar Parikar's BJP, at least as far as Goa is concerned. Why are we not building the people from ground up? Why is this defection becoming such an easy thing? Is there no value to the ideology of any political party, or is just free for all? We jump from one party to another party to another. It only goes to show that there is a cartel in Goa. That's my problem. This cartel wants to ensure that the same corrupt political leaders come into power in political parties that are in power. So today they are in the BJP because BJP is in power. Tomorrow, if Congress comes into power, they'll switch and go on to the Congress. And that doesn't augur well for any political party. This cartel has to be broken. People like Babush Montserrat, people who keep moving and jumping from parties, they need to be actually defeated. Corrupt politicians like Digambar Kamath need to be defeated. Why are we not doing that? And that is the problem I have. And I personally think, BJP currently, from whatever I understand, is nearly 14 seats. Okay, almost what they were in 2017. In another week to 2 weeks, if they continue in this manner, they're going to drop below 10. You see, don't take the people for Goa for granted. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, we've seen that in the past, Goa is a very discriminating voter. I mean, discriminating means, not I should say discriminating, discerning voter. They can sift the chaff from the grain very quickly. And in such a situation, you need to really know what clicks and what doesn't click. And I think it is very unfair for the rank and file of BJP party to get the short shrift, and then somebody just gets parachuted in, then suddenly they become MLA and they'll go on to become ministers. Whatever corruption happened in their previous stint just gets swept under the carpet. I mean, la-di-da, la-di-da. That's very, very sad. I think if BJP thinks it is a party with a difference, it needs to walk the talk. That's how I see it, Savio. And in conclusion, perhaps you can, summarize how you see the prospects for the next, come the next elections, and where do you see the hope in terms of leadership in BJP for Goa?
See, personally, BJP could be absolutely right when they're saying they're a party with a difference. The only understanding of that statement of party with a difference is that they take different people from different parties. That's how they are different. That's party with a difference. Because really, there's no other explanation I can see party with a difference. The problem is, everybody thinks it's Brand Modi that's going to win Goa. Brand Modi will win every other elections. And Brand Modi is a great brand. But there was a bigger brand than Brand Modi in Goa, and that was Brand Parikar. And in 2017, that didn't work. Right? They did not become the single largest party. They didn't get the majority. They formed the government, yes. That everybody in Goa believes BJP has the power to form the government by taking everybody from Congress. That is BJP's respect in Goa right now. You talk to anybody on the street who will form the government? BJP. I said, why? Will you vote for BJP? No. Then how are you saying they'll form the government? They will cobble everybody from other parties and form the government. That is BJP's status in Goa. Right? It's not a great position to be at. The point is, what is the problem with the leadership? My personal opinion is there is no leadership in Goa. There's absolutely no leadership. I have nothing bad to say about Dr. Pramod Sawant. I think he's too new to the entire aspect of being a chief minister. And he's certainly not a Manohar Parrikar. A Manohar Parrikar had a lot of grounding in being in the opposition, being an opposition leader. So he went through a process of trial by fire. You know, he was a chief minister before also, and then he went through the process where he lost the government that he had. Dr. Sawant hasn't been through a trial by fire. He and whoever his advisors are around, or the central leadership who has been around saying, okay, let's accept what they are doing, have no idea what they're doing as far as Goa is concerned. They assume that everything will work in Goa, not learning that they were the people who showed the people of Goa how to change and drop a government if you don't agree with a government. And that happened in 2012. The same thing will happen to the BJP. They will be routed and will come down to less than 10 if they don't change within the next 2-3 weeks. They're sitting on what I would consider to be a belief system that we are in power at the center, we are in power here, and we can change everything. Everything's about Modi. People on social media will say, oh, we have to save Goa from AAP and TMC and Goa Forward Party and all. My dear friends, this is a democracy. In a democracy, everybody is allowed to contest an election. We Goans are not stupid, right? A Trinamool Congress coming here is not going to put a Bengali candidate here. He's going to put a Goan candidate out here, and people are going to identify whether that Goan candidate is worthy or not. Same with AAP. They're going to identify whether the AAP candidate is worthy or not. You think Mamata Banerjee or Arvind Kejriwal sells in Goa? No. In fact, Modi himself will not sell in Goa. If there is a better chance, it's for Modi. But Mamata Banerjee and Arvind Kejriwal will never sell. In fact, that's what I've told them. When they ask me, Savio, what do you think is your view? I say, first, please take your posters down. I don't want to see an Arvind Kejriwal. I don't want to see a Mamata Banerjee. What is their connect with Goa? Nothing. And that is a problem that TMC and AAP will face. So I don't know why people should be worried about it, because the Goans are smart. The Goans were the same people who dropped Congress, a powerful party, from 23 seats to 9 seats. So don't underestimate the power of the Goans, is what I want to tell the BJP as well. You think you're smart, but the Goan voter is smarter than you. You know, for all you know, there might be completely, and this is what I think will happen, Sri, that they will reject all the old faces, and political parties who put new faces, non-corrupt faces, they will actually go and vote for them irrespective of the party. They'll say, let me look at this individual. Is he good? So he's with Mamata TMC. Who gives a shit? Let's vote for him. He'll do something.
Let the best man win. Yeah.
And that's exactly what will happen. You might not know that even a small party like a Revolutionary Goans, Goa Suraj Party combined, they've come together. These guys could probably take a sizable chunk of the vote. Such is the muddle in Goa right now. And BJP is at fault for this because they've allowed this muddle.
Well, thank you very much, Savio, for a candid and honest opinion on how things are playing out in Goa. We'll be watching this elections very carefully, and I'm hoping that you'll be back with us maybe in a couple of weeks' time when there are more developments,
Sure.
and let's see how things play out. Thank you very much, and
Thank you.
namaskar.
Namaskar.